All right, we are cutting across to these latest images coming in from the Ambala Airbase, where a short while ago we saw how the first batch of all the 5 Rafale fighter jets have landed at the Ambala Airbase. In fact, they have touched down at the airbase as well. We'll go across to my colleague Shavan Sen, who's also joining us from the Delhi studios as well. So Shavan, a very momentous occasion for the entire country, even as we are welcoming the very first batch of the 5 Rafale fighter jets.
Well, in fact, just to explain this latest image that has basically come in from the Ambala airbase. Now this, as the fighter aircraft moves towards the bay, that's the time when the welcoming essentially is done traditionally by those water cannons that you can see right now that is being sprayed. As you can see, this is one of the first aircraft that moved towards the bay, and behind it's the other fighter aircraft. Now there are basically, if the details that we have with regards to the fighter aircraft that have basically come in with regards to the 2-seaters as well as 1-seater that has been brought in by the Indian Air Force. So a momentous occasion right now for the Indian Air Force with the Rafale being inducted. We're being told that as far as the air crew members are concerned, they're operationally ready, is what the Indian Air Force had to say. But clearly, after traveling about 7,000 kilometers and with one stop at UAE, finally India gets the first glimpse of the Rafale. A final induction perhaps is also scheduled at some time in the month of August, where we are being told that would be slightly more grandeur than what we are expecting right now. Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, just to put this into perspective, what happens here on in terms of the induction? How does it really pan out for the Indian Air Force? Given the fact that we are looking at the messaging that has already been done by the Indian Air Force, is the fact that the crew members are operationally ready.
No doubt. See, the man behind the machine matters. And the men of the Indian Air Force are extremely competent. So much so that the French said also that the pilots and the technicians were very, very quick learners. And that is the reason why we have even the Raksha Mantri say, and the Air Chief Marshal during Commanders Conference have been very confident that we are fully operationalized. It would just take about a week for them to get deployed. They have an impressive payload. They have all that is required to be done. And imagine how nice all these countries have got together. They've realized the delivery was of 4. It was at the request of the government of India, they made it to 5, irrespective of the COVID crisis that's struck the whole world. Everybody knows what it means. But there, the French not only stood to delivering not just 4, but 5, irrespective of what was happening. And they also were the great sufferers of the pandemic. But despite that, the ability of the machine and to be piloted by some of the finest pilots in the world is something of a messaging, not just the messaging I'm telling you. It's indeed a game changer. A lot of people will say, what does it matter just having 3 of them and 5 of them to begin with and so much of halla gulla being done on it? It's not a question of 3 or 5. It's just the start. Well begun, it's half done. And there it is. And by 2022, we'll have 36 of them with us. All of them. And out of the 6th, trainer aircraft who have already landed today. So you find the kind of capacity building. And let me tell you, capacity building takes time. Intentions of the enemy can change overnight. But here it is. The capacity building has begun. The intentions of the enemy cannot change overnight. The enemy now knows very well that the Indians are fully geared up. Right now, Galwan was one place where they got a shock. They never expected. Nobody ever told the Jawans to do what they've done. They did it because that was the kind of, the spirit that they had, the kind of Josh, what you talk about that they have, that how dare they touch the commanding officer of ours. And if you do that and you watch what happens to you. And that messaging of Galwan was adequate to put Chinese on the back foot. Similarly, the arrival of Rafale puts them on the back foot. It gives them a feeling that here the whole world seems to be standing behind this democratic country. What is so good about it? Here we are doing a checkbook diplomacy. Here we are the wolf warriors wanting everybody to come and say and toe our line. Should anybody not toe our line, should be treated as an enemy, treated like one and given the same kind of a treatment. Why is it that India is so different? And that is what matters. Because Chinese, irrespective of whatever the intentions are, they can't be trusted. Chinese must not be trusted. Chinese must be spoken to from a position of strength. And these are all the things which are acquiring strength. There is a, what would we say, a comprehensive national power in which all of it is there, but backed up by a comprehensive willpower is what will make the difference, and that is what is making the difference. That is why everybody is rejoicing. It's not a question of numbers. It isn't that anything is going to happen just tomorrow, but should anything even happen tomorrow, here we have, what is a light tank weigh? Just about 22 tons, and here's an aircraft with an impressive payload flying at 24 tons. It is not a joke. It's a fantastic achievement. And what an array of missiles. The ground support that it can provide, it boosts the morale of the troops on ground. Imagine the bunkers being destroyed. Imagine the tanks of the enemy being destroyed. Imagine anything that moves is hit, and from a standoff distance, neither the enemy can spot this aircraft, but everything is being destroyed on the ground. Just see the morale of those army, the infantry people on the ground, what's happening. It's a tremendous morale booster. I look at it from a different point of view. Having been experienced on ground, I know what it means firing of bullets. I know what it means dying and really killing people over there. It is fantastic. It's just fantastic. It's the beginning. A new generation aircraft comes in, technology new comes in, everybody absorbs that technology. You find an improvement taking place from there. And that is why the first 36 two squadrons coming in and subsequent whatever is to be manufactured in India, the indigenization process with new technologies, with the new absorption of technologies, everything is happening is totally different. And now we are gelling with the whole world. The technologies are common, interoperability with the countries across are happening, and they're not just here. They assist the Navy. They assist. They change the entire scenario. The air dominance is just zooms up. It helps boost the morale of the troops on the ground. It's a totally different game plan. It's a totally different thing. All that we now need is to have one voice in this country, comprehensive willpower of this nation to be able to take on anything. We have tremendous capacity. Believe you me, tremendous capacity. You can't get the kind of troops that we have. You can't get the kind of skill and the discipline, the commitment, and all of it that you want. Everything there. All that the nation needs is one voice, one leadership, and there we are. That itself is adequate. You're not going for war, but it deters anybody from touching the nation. And that is what is important. Prevention is what is important. Now, going into war is not difficult.
Right.
Anybody can go into war. But to prevent the war, because we have it, don't touch. And that is where I think in the comprehensive willpower, the absorption of technology, we are up and about.
Well, thank you very much, Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, as well as Shriram Chaudhary, for putting this into perspective. Gentlemen, what's also very important to point out is the fact that with regards to the way the Rafales are going to be equipped, we are given to understand that the missiles with regards to the Meteor as well as Scalp, they've already reached the squadron. So undoubtedly, as the Indian Air Force actually points out, that they are operationally ready with regards to even the missiles that are going to be equipped with these 5 Rafales that have landed in the Ambala Airbase.